Hello and welcome to the British Dapper, and today we're talking about things to consider when you're buying online, part 1. So welcome to the channel, and today and for the next 4 weeks we're going to be looking at 4 different areas when it comes to buying things online and things to consider when you're doing that. So I've broke it down into 4 main videos. The first, which is today, is going to cover ties and pocket squares, and that also includes bow ties and cravats. So when I'm talking about ties, I'm referring to those general items. Another video is going to be about coats and also jackets, which also refers to not only sports coats and jackets, but also about suit jackets. Another video is then going to cover trousers, which also includes suit trousers, and also shirts. And the final video is going to be about shoes and boots, and that should cover the majority of people's areas of concern. So let's dive right in. Part 1. So when it comes to ties and pocket squares, yes, you can pick them up brand new and you can spend an absolute fortune. You can spend £200 on a pocket square, you can spend £250 on a tie. No problem at all. But if you want to take advantage of the current trends and market, there's a lot of ties now going second hand, hardly worn, even brand new, never worn, going on eBay, Vinted, Pre-Loved, other companies, for example Etsy might be another one you might consider. But there are a number of other online second-hand providers. For example, it might be through Facebook Marketplace. But the point I'm going to try and cover is that bargains can be made, but also there are things to consider when you're purchasing, because it might be that because these are amateur platforms, you might not have a professional photograph of the tie. The description might not be brilliant, and the same goes for pocket squares as well. The image might be a little bit blurred. It might not necessarily show off any little stains or marks, and so it's always imperative, I would say, to scrutinize those photographs, those images, as best you can. And if you have any concerns, then a lot of the time you can message the seller and ask for more detailed information. Sometimes information's not provided only because the person providing the information is not professional. They are just simply that has cleared out a wardrobe for somebody else possibly, and found an array of items that they're selling for them or on their behalf on that platform. So their description might not give you the exact measurements of length of the tie, the width of the tie, and the same with the pocket squares. They might just say pocket square or handkerchief. It might be slightly mislabeled as well. Bow ties are a classic example. Are they self-tied or are they pre-tied? And the same with cravats. Are they traditional scarf versions, or are they tailored to be modified to give you a better fit? So it's something to consider when you're looking at purchasing something online. Something else to remember is that sometimes certain items have a no return policy. So if you're dissatisfied with the item, it's very difficult to get your money back sometimes, or sometimes it's very difficult to get clarification on who's responsible. So it's always best to get your ideas and your questions out of the way first before you purchase it. and don't feel pressurized into buying that item with little information. The reason why I say that is because 9 times out of 10 you might lose out on one purchase, but in a week or so's time there'll be a similar item come round again, ready for purchase again, and they might give you more information. So when it comes to ties, specifically, whether it's a tie, cravat or a bow tie, the materials used can make a difference in the price as well as the label of the manufacturer. So for example, let's choose Armani ties. Armani ties are quite expensive because of the label, no different to Yves Saint Laurent or some other organisation. So because of their name, the price will obviously increase purely on the branding of that item. Now when it comes to the materials used, you have silk, you have silk blends, you have cottons, wools. There are a number of different materials, and they go down the scale to synthetics as well. For example, polyester, acrylics, crimpolene. There are all sorts of terylene is another one. They're all very old versions of polyester. Even nylon to a degree can come up from time to time. So just be aware of that when you're buying it. So if it says a tie, doesn't give you any description of the material, then that might be a question you want to ask. And that's no different to cravats or bow ties as well. So when it's silk, great. 9 times out of 10 it will say it in the label. Something else to consider is it handmade? Where has it been made? That all adds a little bit more to the quality potentially when you're looking at purchasing a tie. I tend to buy a lot of handmade ties if I can, and I like my 7-fold ties, 6 folds. That's the number of folds within the tie to create that tie effect, and it gives it thickness in the tie. This tie here is handmade Italian tie, very bright in the colours, but it goes well with other things that are understated. So for example, this is paired with, whilst it's got a pale blue shirt, I'm using a charcoal suit. But again, we've picked up some colours in the pocket square that go very similar to the tie. And with that, because it's an Italian tie, I thought I'd put on some Italian-inspired Oliver Sweeney shoes. Pocket squares are very similar to ties in that the materials used, but also the size of the actual pocket square is something to consider, because if it's a small one, say 10 inches by 10 inches, for example, 25 centimetres by 25 centimetres, when it's scrunched up and in the pocket, it's not going to be very secure in there. So you might need to think about, do you need to put in a pocket square holder to keep it in place? Because it will be easily lost out of the pocket. I would try as far as possible to go for something that's going to be more like 15 inches up to 20, around that area. Great sort of size, gives much more fuller fill in the pocket, and less chance of losing it as well, because you can actually fit it right into the bottom of the pocket. The materials also have something to play with when you're wearing that pocket square. Now silk's very shiny potentially, although you can get a rough silk if you like, which is more of a matte finish. But you can also have a satin finish on a pocket square, which makes it catches the light. And something else to consider is wool and cottons. They tend to be more matte finished, and they are very effective with the right outfit. So there's just a few ideas about when it comes to making those purchases online in relation to ties and pocket squares. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've got any questions then please jot them down below. We'd like to hear your views on this and your ideas about what you would do when you're purchasing online and what safeguards you can put in place to make your purchase a pleasurable one. If you'd like to subscribe then please feel free to do so. If you'd like to make a contribution to the channel, we have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and I'll put the link below so you can make that contribution. So until next time, take care.